really pleased to welcome Dave from Sadler Recruitment, who has decided to sign up to the Neuro Friendly pledge recently. And he's here to tell us a little bit more about what he does and why he's found it so important to improve some of the stuff he already does. I know Dave does a lot of stuff already. Tell us a bit about yourself first and Sadler Recruitment.
Okay, so thank you for that. David Sadler, independent recruitment company. So I own Sadler Recruitment. We specialize in technology and marketing recruitment. So we specialize in finding talented people in those areas. Been going for about 4 years since the pandemic, but previous to that, I've got nearly 20 years experience in technology and communications-based recruitment. Why did I sign up for the pledge? So obviously I've known you for a long time. I've maintained and kept a common interest in what you're doing, and I started to sort of be quite well read in this area. I'm quite passionate about psychology. I'm quite passionate about how the brain works. And I looked at it and I thought, why not? I think this is an area that I could improve in. I feel like I do a lot of this anyway, but this for me is all about self-improvement, self-evaluation, and making sure that ultimately I live by my mantra of finding the right person for the right job at the right time. And I think if I can use this pledge and working with ThinkDIF, I feel like I can improve my processes and my systems to allow me to hit that mantra of finding the right person for the right company. It's a really good question. I think the answer in terms of like a specific situation is no. But what I've started to realize is, and I genuinely believe this, that we as humans make decisions based on where we feel comfortable, who we like, and who we sort of link well to. And I find that I'm even guilty of that, and I don't like it. I find that when I'm recruiting, I tend to I feel like I'm very good at matching people to the right organization, but I want to make sure that I am completely open to new and different communication and learning styles. So when I read the pledge and when I read a lot more about neurodiversity, I feel like whilst I'm doing it, I can improve more. So it's not necessarily about something that has triggered me to say I must do this. It's more that I look at my own processes and my own ways of thinking and feel like I can improve, and I want to adapt my business processes and systems to allow me to do that, ultimately meaning that I find the best people for my client.
Brilliant. Yeah, and conscious bias, I think, is the term, isn't it? And yeah, absolutely. You know, everybody, that's what the term means. Everybody has got unconscious bias, and it's actually becoming aware of that and kind of like you've said, designing the systems and the processes around it, so to remove barriers for people who, you know, who might otherwise face them, I think is brilliant. So yeah, thank you for that.
Great question. I think my values, first and foremost, are built on sort of 4 letters. So it's like TEEK, which stands for trust, empathy, experience, and knowledge. So I believe by sort of engaging with the pledge and making sure that I've built systems that are better to allow me to perform better, then I feel like it matches the values of ThinkDIF and allowing me to be more empathetic, allowing me to improve my knowledge and experience is only going to be a good thing. In answer to your question about Neuro Friendly, we as companies and individuals need to set up environments that allow everyone to thrive. And I think ultimately we can be, not everyone, but if we all look at ourselves and think, are we set up to allow everyone to come into our environment to get the best out of them? I think a lot of people would hold their hand up and say probably not. So I think Neuro Friendly is making sure that we have everything set up to allow anyone with a different learning style, communication style, recognizes as something needs to be able to have the right sort of feeling and environment to allow them to do the best job at the best time.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking it a step further, you know, it's barriers, and especially in what you do, it's about barriers, but it's also about, you know, the culture of what you do, but the culture of your clients as well. And look at that, and it's about belonging, so helping people to belong places. And I know that's something that you're looking for anyway, you know, in the work that you do. So yeah, I think that's great.
It's more about self-improvement, self-awareness, and self-development. But I think it goes back to that trust and experience. I think companies working with me will understand. They probably do anyway, but I think this is just another way of proving that I am doing the right things, giving people, all areas and all types of people, the chance to get these jobs, making sure that I'm diverse, inclusive, and making sure that I, as a business, have the systems and processes set up to find the very, very best people to not only do the job within the customer that I'm recruiting for, but ultimately to give an opportunity to have the very best culture for that organization.
Yeah, brilliant. So have you already taken any steps within what you do that align with the pledge? Is there anything that you've already done?
Yeah. So obviously, as part of this, I've built this 12-month plan, which I will be reviewing periodically. But yeah, there's sort of 5 key areas I'm looking at, certainly from my perspective. So job adverts being one. So making sure that I'm limiting tech jargon, making sure I'm very clear with the expectations and the requirements of the job, avoiding high energy, like fast pace, all those sort of terms. So that's one area. Second area, which I think is a huge area, is CV screening. So as we mentioned, removing the unconscious bias, looking at blind CVs, and trying desperately to avoid that gut feel of someone feels right. It's got to be about metrics and data. And I think that's something I'm putting in. Interviews. And I know we've talked a bit about this, but I think we, as recruiters and talent professionals, just believe that people can just walk into interviews and they'll do okay because they've got experience. And over the years, I've just realized that's not fair, ultimately. So I want to, when I'm inviting candidates into client interviews, I want to make sure they're well prepared. I feel like I do anyway. I feel like it's a big strength of mine in my business, but making sure that calendar invites are accurate, they've got a lot of information, they allow for making reasonable adjustments, there's very much a flexible format around it. And then when the people go for interviews, making sure that they've got all the key details, the hiring manager, the location, anything that could go wrong, anything that can make them feel uncomfortable. Again, looking at reasonable adjustments in an interview to pass on to a customer. Big area in tech is tech challenges, tech tests. So make sure they are reasonable and make sure that the customer is genuinely doing the right things to assess the skill set and doing it in the right way. And just making sure that my communication style is good and people feel like they can excel in that interview environment. And then the last area is all about not standing still. So making sure that I'm working with you, making sure I'm well read, and making sure that all my, I keep harping back to it, the processes and systems are in line to make sure the right person, right job at the right time. It's a big area, isn't it? And I think genuinely, I think people are a lot better than they used to be. I think people and organizations are far more well read and they're making reasonable adjustments and putting things in place. But I think the misconception for me, and I'm not an expert in this area, I don't have as much experience as you, but I feel like people just naturally gravitate to people that are like them. And I just think that organizations, certainly in tech, need to understand that, and it's not all about this, but communication isn't everything. It's about releasing code. It's about fixing systems. It's about doing the technical elements of the job. And I think organizations, if they look at it, probably put an overemphasis on match to company and communication style, whereas I think actually in tech, it's all about deliverables of projects and technology.
Yeah. So more about, and I think that's spot on, it's actually what are we testing for? Is it actual skills to do the job, or is it somebody's personality that we're judging in the interview process? That's why it's so great to have you on board, just because, you know, the fact that you want to make this pledge and that you want to make this change hopefully will ripple outwards to others, which I think is fantastic. So yeah, it's brilliant.
I think the other thing is that I pride myself on understanding businesses. So I understand what makes them tick, what products they work on, what they develop, and what people work well in those organizations. But I still want to improve on that, because it isn't just about, is this person going to get on with that person or be able to fit into that culture of that organization? I want to be having deeper conversations about culture with companies. And I also want to be able to make sure that it's just not just about communication. It is very much about technical, and being able to do the job at the time. Hugely. And I even thought about this before I signed up to the pledge. I don't want to be dipping my toe half in. It's got to be ultimately a commitment to doing something right. And I think the easiest way of answering that, Jen, is you've got to get the right people to do the right jobs. And I think if it's a tick box exercise, it's not worth doing. You need to kind of commit to it to make a difference. And I think there are people that do that, and there are people that are ticking boxes, but ultimately, is it really benefiting you? Is it, I guess you look at the metrics, you look at, are you recruiting different people? Is your culture changing? Are you improving your processes? Are your interviews better? And I think if you just do a tick box, what's the point? You've got to do it with a underpinned by why and the data that matches ultimately why you're doing it. Yeah. For me, it's already started. So I've started to put a few things in, but in 12 months, I want to make sure that my web copy and social media copy is indicative of what I'm trying to do. I want to make sure that everyone who goes for an interview is fully prepared, offering full reasonable adjustments. So ultimately, it's putting the processes and the systems in place within 12 months that I can look back and say that I have improved my my openness and my sort of opportunity for all people to get jobs.
Yeah, brilliant. I absolutely love that. And again, it's why I'm so excited to be working with you on this. So what message would you share, lastly, with other organisations who are considering signing up to the pledge but aren't quite sure yet?
When I saw your talk months ago, I kind of thought this and answered this to myself. Why not? I genuinely don't understand why people aren't looking to hire the best people. So if we're not hiring the best people and we don't have everything behind it, then ultimately we're not doing the right thing. So I think the pledge is a commitment to your profession, but also to hire the best people. And that's what everyone wants. Companies don't grow without the best people. And these best people don't have to be like you. It's as simple as that. So it's a realization that, yes, not you've got an issue, but is there something we can be doing better? And organizations like ThinkDIF and being more well-read can only be a good thing for an organization. So I guess my answer is, why not?
Yeah. And do you know what? And this, again, this is why you're so right for this, because the whole ethos behind the pledge is learning.
Yeah.
Doing it better, making a difference, and you know, and not being afraid to involve in your people, obviously, if you're a bigger organization, but not being afraid to kind of get it wrong as well, but listening enough to get it right.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people don't know where to start with this, and you know, taking that first step is just so straightforward, and the momentum builds. So like, I know that you can see that as well, which is brilliant. So yeah. Have you anything else that you wanted to add?
I think you mentioned, obviously, I'm the first recruitment company to do it. I think recruitment companies on the whole will do a lot of this anyway. I think that some better than others, admittedly, but I just want it to be recognised that I care. And I genuinely want to give everyone the opportunity to get the best job. If you look on social media, I think that people feel my service is pretty good anyway, touch wood. But if I can improve and appeal to a wider audience, it's only going to be good for everyone. And I think if companies are listening, then working together to understand more about your culture from a D&I and neuro diversity perspective, passing that to me can only help, because I've got the systems and processes in place to find the very best people, meaning that ultimately you're going to be a better organization with better people.